Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
We've all grown up learning the history of our country, how the Pilgrims faced the dangers of a sea voyage in a rickety, overcrowded ship, arriving in a land unknown to them at the beginning of winter, dealing with cold, starvation, and starting their whole lives over in the unknown, all so they could freely worship the Lord as they wished. We read about how much of the signers of Declaration of Independence gave up for freedom from tyranny, and how the Army of the Potomac spent the winter in Valley Forge with little supplies, not even sure if they would get paid for risking their lives for their country, and even more unsure if they would win the war. So many people throughout our nation's history have sacrificed their lives in different ways so that we could have the freedoms that we enjoy today. God gave us this good land, and in His providence and grace, He has given us freedom and power and blessed us more than our founding fathers could have even imagined. We all know this, and we're always reminded about it, especially on days like Independence Day, Memorial Day, and Thanksgiving. But when I was reading through Deuteronomy recently, one very strongly worded passage really stuck out to me that applies to our country in our day too. Let me read it to you. It's Deuteronomy 8, 7 through 20. It starts out, "For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and springs that flow out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land in which you will eat bread without scarcity, in which you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you can dig copper." Doesn't that sound much like the U.S.? We have a bountiful land with plentiful resources that God has provided for us. Verse 10 says, "When you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land which He has given you." Our founding fathers did that frequently, and that should be the focus of not just our patriotic holidays, but our whole lives. It continues, "Beware that you do not forget the Lord your God by not keeping His commandments, His judgments, and His statutes, which I command you today, lest when you have eaten and are full, and have built beautiful houses and dwell in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and gold are multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, when your heart is lifted up, and you forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage, who led you through that great and terrible wilderness, in which were fiery serpents and scorpions, and thirsty land where there was no water, who brought water for you out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, that He might humble you, and that He might test you, to do you good in the end. Then you say in your heart, 'My power and the might of my hand has gained me this wealth.'" Doesn't that sound like our country today? Could that be the cause of the mess we're in right now? Continuing in verse 18, it says, "And you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant, which He swore to your fathers as it is this day. Then it shall be, if you by any means forget the Lord your God and follow other gods and serve them and worship them, I testify against you this day that you shall surely perish. As the nations which the Lord destroys before you, so shall you perish, because you would not be obedient to the Lord your God." Now I know this wasn't specifically said to us. It was specifically for the Israelites, for that time and place. But since the Bible is timeless, it should apply to us as well. And no matter how strong and powerful our country is, if we continue to refuse to obey God and His word, we will be destroyed. As verse 11 says, we must be careful not to forget the Lord. It couldn't be more clear. If you forget God, you will die. Our country will die. And those of us who do remember him, let us tell others about the Lord and pray for our country night and day, that God would have mercy on us and bring us back to him as a nation. We must pray for revival, for an awakening that would spread all over the world, that the power and strength and influence that God has blessed us with would be used for his glory.
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through his word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.